Welcome to the Agriculture for Peace side event, co-hosted by the Mexican government, the Nobel Peace Center, CIMET, Provivi, Ecospherics, and the Borlaug Foundation.
The biggest fears in nowadays is that climate is changing. If we talk about this year we have fall armyworms in our maize, and we have more insect and pests in our crops, and we are receiving more rainfall in one day and a very big dry spell in our rice season.
Nuestra preocupación en cada ciclo agrícola son el alza de medida que ha habido en los insumos que nosotros utilizamos, desde el diésel, semilla, fertilizantes y también el precio de maquinaria y equipo que estamos ocupando normalmente cada ciclo.
Enfrentarme a este reto yo solo. La discriminación, la falta de trabajadores del campo y la disponibilidad de la maquinaria. No se tiene la certeza de las lluvias y en un solo ciclo se puede presentar un clima extremoso.
Majina naitwa Ruse Wawera Njiro kutoka Embu County. Mimi ni mkulima wa mahindi. Changamoto napitia kama mkulima, ya kwanza ni kukosa mbegu mzuri. Bei za fertilizer na mbegu ziko juu sana. Hiyo ingine kukosa soko. Tunalima lakini soko ndio iko na shida sana.
Okay, the main challenges are pests, how to control pests and diseases. My fears are drought, hunger at most of the time, because sometimes rain are very short rains. Okay, the other thing is the market of my produce, of which we don't have enough market in our community.
I'm very proud to introduce this side event on agriculture for peace and to present to you the diverse group of experts expressing their unique view on how agriculture provides an essential avenue to tackle the drivers of food insecurity. Each expert comes from a different background, region, and expertise, but together they share the same vision: agriculture as a strong force for peace. The relationship between food and conflict has long been clear. Without food, there is no peace, and without peace, there is often hunger. Conflict, poverty, and environmental degradations are the primary drivers of food insecurity. Without addressing the causes of food insecurity, the world's humanitarian organizations will continuously need to provide emergency aid to an ever-growing number of people in need. It is a cycle that we must and will break to meet the global sustainable development goal to reach zero hunger. Food security is impacted severely by climate change and the economic fallout caused by pandemic of COVID-19. It is crucial that we recognize that being climate smart is fundamental to the sustainability of human and environmental systems in the immediate future. The world needs our commitment more than ever. The Mexican government started the Agriculture for Peace initiative with CIMET and the Nobel Prize Center to celebrate the 15th anniversary of the Nobel Peace Prize for Norman Borlaug. Dr. Borlaug gained world's renown with his achievement of saving millions of lives. We all have the shared responsibility to continue his legacy and adapt it to our current challenges. We need to push for a green evolution now. The global community must come together in solidarity with communities around the world to assemble all the expertise we have towards taking the issue of global hunger. Global cooperation, mixing the knowledge and expertise in local farmers with scientific advancements is the way to make our food systems resilient and climate smart. CIMMYT has been leading force on this area. They have road tested many projects in Latin America, South Asia, and Africa, and I know they stand ready to scale up this important work to more countries around the world. Mexico is proud of being CIMMYT's host country and joins its call to action to avoid global hunger crisis, particularly due to the economic deceleration and to increase of poverty in communities, regions, and countries that have been severely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Agriculture can be our pathway to peace and prosperity by investing in small farmers and creating resilient, climate-smart, accessible food systems. I would especially like to mention the key role of women through the wars in each state of the food system. Women are the huge part of the local communities, and we need to engage them through education, encouragement, and agricultural skills. Women are also strong drivers on peace and leaders in the pursuit of healthy, resilient, climate-smart agriculture systems. To conclude, agri-food system presents an opportunity for investment upon which many development gains can be built and sustained. It is the system which feeds the world, employs over a quarter of the global population, and can be a force for food on our planet if it is well designed and managed. Agriculture is an essential force for peace. Thank you very much, and please join us on this side event while listening to the great experts we have assembled today. Thank you very much.
Gobierno de México.
I am Kjersti Krogstad. I am the director of Nobel Peace Center here in Oslo. Food is the best vaccine against chaos. These are the words of David Beasley, the executive director of World Food Program. When Norman Borlaug and his team in Mexico in the 40s and the 50s developed a new robust wheat strain and made Mexico self-sufficient in wheat, it was exactly a vaccine against chaos. Later, the same method increased crops dramatically in Pakistan and India, both threatened by famine and undernourishment. You can't build peace on an empty stomach, Borlaug used to say. And he has the Norwegian Nobel Committee with him when he connected food security with peace. The Nobel Peace Prizes to Norman Borlaug and to the World Food Program are very much interlinked. And they are part of a long tradition of awarding humanitarian work. And the first Nobel Peace Prize was awarded in 1901. Actually, the very first prize was given for humanitarian work. It was awarded to Henry Dunant for the foundation of the Red Cross to aid victims of war. At the Nobel Peace Center here in Oslo, we tell the stories about all the Nobel Peace Prize laureates. It's a remarkable crowd of 107 individuals and 28 organizations who have done something special for the greatest benefit to humankind. They all represent different paths to a more peaceful world. They all have different methods for peace, methods that we can learn from and use today in our daily lives. Many of the laureates are true heroes, having turned despair to engagement for human rights and peace. I believe that we need these and other the other heroes that the Nobel Peace Prize laureates represent, more than ever. The people who are willing to work hard and sacrifice a lot for something they believe in, to use their engagement for the greatest benefit to humankind. In times like these, where things seem to move in the wrong direction in many ways, we need people who manage to take a great leap forward and bring other people with them. Borlaug was also one such person. He died in 2009 and visited us here in Oslo in 2006 at the age of 92, I believe. From what I hear from colleagues who were here at the time, he was down to earth, humble, and more engaged in the development work itself than in having received the Nobel Peace Prize. War and conflict can cause hunger, just as much as hunger can trigger conflict and the use of violence. I'm therefore so happy today to be able to send my greetings to the state of Mexico and the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center. I wish you all a wonderful celebration. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Sharon Burke, and I'm the president of Ecospherics. I'm a former defense official in the United States government, and I've worked on national security and natural resources for most of my career. And part of the story of humanity is the close relationship in particular between war and hunger. In fact, it's part of my own story. My family fled starvation and violence in Ireland in the 19th century, finding safe haven here in America. But throughout history and around the world today, far too many people are not so fortunate and find themselves trapped in a vicious cycle of food insecurity and conflict. In many places around the world with chronic conflict and poor governance, it's difficult for farmers to keep growing crops, and then consumers struggle to have a healthy and diverse diet. That situation has near and long-term consequences. Most immediately, the inaccessibility of food can drive misery, displacement, and more conflict. In fact, in some cases, food may even be used as a weapon, punishing or disempowering select populations. Now, thousands of years ago, an Egyptian pharaoh carved the news of that kind of famine and unrest on a stone tablet, and not too many people saw it. But today, we may see images of famine and unrest on our smart tablets in real time. What we don't see, however, are the effects of undernourishment on communities with persistent food insecurity. This is a threat to international peace and security just as much as the conflict that surrounds these situations, although, in more insidious and foundational ways. The impacts of protracted hunger on children's mental and physical development, for example, can be lifelong. It's hard to learn when you're hungry. And that has a very deep societal cost. Without the hope and the talent and the leadership of the next generation, it's even harder to break that cycle of conflict and violence. In short, without food, there is no space for peace in the near or the long term. Wars happen for complex reasons: politics, access to power, historical grievances, religious and ethnic beliefs and identities, but there's often some dimension or overlay of resources. Today and for the future, we're facing a circumstance where a changing climate and the loss of biodiversity are increasingly shaping the resources that we all need, and more specifically, the drivers of food insecurity, such as conflict, but also poverty and environmental degradation and shocks. As a result, we can expect the growing degradation and fragility of our natural systems to drive a deteriorating condition in our human systems, more unrest, more displacement, more conflict. Specifically, my concern is that environmental change will directly affect every stage of the food system and will trap more and more communities in that hunger and war cycle. As individuals, communities, and nations, we must reconsider how we define security and recenter our attention and our investment in the health and welfare of people and the natural environment that humanity depends on. It is urgent that we integrate considerations of climate change, biodiversity, and food security into our policies and our plans if we're to achieve security for any nation. Agriculture is peace. Join us as we work toward that end.
Hello, my name is Margaret Bath, and I'm the incoming board chair of CIMMYT, the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center, which is headquartered in El Baton, Mexico. It is an honor and privilege to be here with all of you today to celebrate and honor Dr. Borlaug's legacy as we come together for the annual World Food Prize meeting. The urgency with which we must approach the issue of tackling climate change is indeed overwhelming. Its effects on the natural systems on which humans depend is critical, yet we have not been able to translate this urgency of the situation into sustained global action. Much as we can't mention food or peace without considering the other, we cannot discuss either of these concepts without focusing on climate change. Unlike the COVID-19 pandemic, the economic and environmental impacts of climate change are not yet felt keenly enough by the most influential actors who are placed in positions to make decisions about mitigation and adaptation. These people have not been forced into action yet. The effects are mostly concentrated among the world's most vulnerable communities, including, if not especially, the smallholder farmer from the global majority. We cannot wait for the results of climate change to be so damaging to the communities and businesses in the West, as we have certainly been seen as the case in the pandemic, that they are forced into action. The private sector must embrace the responsibility to adapt to the changing climate that we're all faced with in solidarity with those suffering most from its consequences today. Big business must embark on a transformational journey where it integrates the true externalities of its processes, and as a result, mainstreams sustainability, and into its model, it becomes fully integrated rather than having it as a separate stream of work. We cannot consider profit to be the only measure of success if it is damaging the planet. We must put people and society over short-term profits. We must see our agri-food system as a circular economy in which farmers are one, if not the most important actor. So to those of us interested in the mission embodied in the World Food Prize, I quote, "A demonstrable increase in the quantity, quality, availability of, and access to the food through creative interventions at any point within the scope of the food system." The question becomes, what can we do? Well, we can invest in developing, testing, scaling climate smart interventions to assist smallholder farmers to leverage their resources and know-how with new technologies to ensure that the production side of the food system is resilient, as well as making farming sustainable and profitable as a livelihood. We can see the agri-food sector as a part of a much bigger system and work to ensure that investments are being made at any entry point along the chain from production to consumption. We can consider global food security as the geopolitical challenge for the next 25 years to mobilize action on climate change and show how climate-smart agriculture can operate effectively and efficiently. The community gathered here today, both virtually and in person, are all major players in making this happen. Without research into new technologies, businesses interested in finding and scaling marketable approaches, and governing institutions prioritizing climate-smart agriculture with smallholder farmers being front and center of our efforts so that we can achieve a brighter future for all, particularly for our future generations, where food security is a right, not a privilege, and people are safer in their communities where they choose to live. Thank you.
For me, a better world is one where people thrive side by side with nature. We treasure nature, and nature nourishes us in return. Thus, access to a healthy, nutritious diet and environmental stability are both central to creating and sustaining peace. And supporting smallholder farmers with new technologies to achieve these goals is a core intervention which can help us to end conflict. By sharing the land we use to grow our food with other living things, the food can be healthier and sustainably produced. Our efforts in this direction with ProVivi are directed to the huge challenge of selectively controlling agricultural pests while preserving biodiversity. ProVivi has demonstrated that mating disruption with pheromones can do that, controlling the fall armyworm in corn in Mexico. ProVivi's products target destructive pests, such as fall armyworm, while protecting insect fauna in the fields. Thus, beneficial insects provide an ecosystem service back to the growers, including pollination and the action of predatory insects that help control other crop damaging pests. Pheromones are non-toxic and work not by killing, but rather by species-specific mating disruption. Preventative pheromone solutions enable farmers to reduce use of chemical insecticides in the field, and that lowers harmful residues on the food and on the farmer. This approach will create a whole new foundation for pest management. Pheromones have enjoyed adoption in high-end specialty crops in the US, Europe, and Latin America for 30 years at least. And using state-of-the-art technologies and modern production methods, ProVivi has democratized access to pheromones so that farmers can use them across many geographic locations and for staple crops such as corn, rice, soy, and cotton. Importantly, we are working to bring this technology for pheromone-based crop protection to smallholder farmers in Mexico, Kenya, Bangladesh, India, where food stability will lead to better human health, health of the planet, and peace. Thank you.
Greetings, I'm Barbara Stinson, President of the World Food Prize Foundation. Our mission is to elevate innovations and inspire action to sustainably increase the quality, quantity, and availability of food for all. In carrying out our mission, we have long recognized and promoted the link between peace and food security. In truth, hunger, malnutrition, and food insecurity are always part of any conflict scenario. In many places where chronic national or international conflict persists, agricultural processes are severely disrupted, and access to a healthy, diverse diet is always limited. With immediate and long-term consequences, these conditions often create a vicious cycle that leads to long-term instability and even war. In our work to elevate and inspire action, we believe that investments in agriculture to develop robust food systems help tackle the drivers of that instability. They create more virtuous cycles. These systems ultimately promote peace by investing in farmers and agricultural systems to create resilient, climate-smart, and accessible food systems. Investing in the agrarian economy and robust food systems across the world spurs development in many different ways. It's especially true when we provide this kind of support for women to increase their incomes and livelihoods, healthcare, all of these really important components. Addressing the needs of the most vulnerable can provide stability and a path to peace. Increasing investment in agriculture and food systems requires innovations that increase the sustainability of our planet's natural resources, especially ensuring that climate resilience is part of any intervention. Transformation of global and local food systems allows us to make significant development gains and build a more peaceful future. Investment in these systems will enable us to truly feed the world, support the careers of over a quarter of the Earth's population, and truly offer a path towards peace over conflict.
México se enorgullece en ser sede oficial del Centro Internacional de Mejoramiento de Maíz y Trigo, un organismo internacional de investigación sin fines de lucro dedicado al desarrollo sostenible de los sistemas productivos de maíz y de trigo en todo el mundo y cuyo trabajo apoyamos decisivamente. En el marco de esta importante conmemoración, el Gobierno de México, junto con el Centro, hacen un llamado a la acción para impulsar una agricultura para la paz que contribuya al desarrollo humano. Este propósito cobra mucha mayor relevancia en el contexto de la actual pandemia por COVID-19, pues los efectos en la desaceleración de la actividad económica de la pandemia y el incremento de la pobreza en comunidades y regiones podría significar el surgimiento de crisis alimentarias importantes que hay que evitar a toda costa. Un posible deterioro en la seguridad alimentaria mundial puede repercutir en la incidencia de conflictos mundiales y crisis humanitarias, y por esto se requieren movilizar recursos económicos y capacidades de atención y transferencia de tecnología para ejecutar acciones que promuevan una transformación de los sistemas agroalimentarios mundiales. Por ello, desde México promovemos mecanismos de cooperación para alcanzar los ODS en las áreas de combate al hambre, a la desnutrición, la pobreza, a la solución pacífica de los conflictos, la mitigación del cambio climático, la conservación de los recursos naturales y la protección del medio ambiente, los ecosistemas de innovación, el desarrollo humano con enfoques de inclusión, de justicia y de igualdad de género. México está convencido de que la iniciativa Agricultura para la Paz puede convertirse en un importante mecanismo de cooperación como resultado de la cumbre sobre sistemas agroalimentarios de 2021 y con ello lograr una verdadera transformación de los sistemas de producción y consumo de alimentos a nivel global. Las Naciones Unidas tienen en México un socio estratégico comprometido para alcanzar estos objetivos. Muchas gracias por su atención.
Gobierno de México.
Hi, I'm Julie Borlaug, and I'm the granddaughter of Dr. Norman E. Borlaug. CIMMYT was near and dear to my grandfather, and it is to me as well. It's an honor to be a part of the CIMMYT team, and I know each and everyone at CIMMYT is dedicated to smallholder farmers and ending hunger and poverty. As we've heard today from our esteemed speakers, we must consider continuous access to healthy food as essential if we hope to end conflict. My grandfather always said that food is the moral right of all. And I agree with this. Therefore, we must tackle the things that create hunger and conflict if we want to create peace. And we must do this together. Neglecting food security impinges on all kinds of securities, and we do so at our own peril. And in my opinion, this brings us back to the smallholder farmer, with whom the agri-food system depends. Investing in an agrarian economy spurs development in many ways, not only just in agriculture, but in education, health, infrastructure, and most importantly, it increases the ability for women to have access to all of these important things. We must approach these challenges of the future, especially of climate change, by working with those who lead the fight on the ground every day, and that's our smallholder farmers. We must listen, we must respect, we must learn from them. We must let them tell us what technology is best for them. And we do that every day at CIMMYT. Every day we listen and we take what is needed to the farmers. Encouraging the entrepreneurial spirit, especially in those conducting scientific research, is important if we are to see solutions working on and through the existing systems. These type of investments are critical to agriculture and for the global population. If we are to prosper, we must have innovation, we must have collaboration to end hunger and poverty, and in order to bring peace to all. The World Food Prize has a long, prestigious history, as seen by those who have spoken today. But we must not get stuck in the past or try to repeat the past. We must look at all these new challenges and move forward. We must, again, listen to the farmers, use all the technology we have to end hunger and poverty, and in order to create peace. We can create peace through agriculture, and it's up to each and every one of us. So please always remember to take it to the farmer, and thank you for having me.
Lile jambo naweza ambia watu kuhusu CIMMYT ni wakisikia tu mambo ya CIMMYT, masomo ya CIMMYT, wao wanaenda wanahudhuria hiyo masomo inafunza watu mambo mingi sana. Na wakulima wakisikia hivyo wasikatae kupeana mashamba ya trials, wapeane kwa wingi.
I am very happy because I'm able to produce high yield, because they do give us knowledge on how to control our product, our maize varieties, and they do give us the variety which are able to grow in our areas, of which they help us to produce more yield, and we are able to get more profit than before. Okay, for the future, I do hope as a young farmer to be a bigger supplier of maize regionally in Kenya, and also maybe even if it's outside Kenya, I can be very happy if I can do that.
我们这一代人，作为农民，我们田里面的粮食是越生产越多，品质也越种越好。我们希望在我们这一代能够把我们的品质和我们的产量都生产上去。在我们平时的生产当中 ，CIMMYT 的技术也给了我们很多的帮助，特别是基于保护性耕作的，像我们的小麦的免耕播种啊，水稻的免旋插秧啊，这些技术都在我们生产上应用，为我们节省劳动成本，保护。
Cada año tenemos un problema diferente, entonces por eso tenemos que seguir capacitándonos, tenemos que ver estas alternativas que nos está presentando CIMMYT, ¿no? Y poder nosotros a futuro heredar a nuestras familias, a nuestros sucesores, una agricultura pues responsable, una una agricultura sustentable.
Mejorar la calidad de los alimentos y por consecuencia también mejoras la salud de las personas.
Join us. The world is counting on you.